a depression. Mark Patterson, chairman of private equity fund Matlin Patterson, told an audience of financial experts in New York Waldorf's Astoria this week that the U.S. could suffer up to 500 bank closures and that the chances of a new Great Depression are now as high as 25%. Hey, are you with us today?
Hi, is this Farron?
Yes, it is.
Hi, my name is David. I'm with Kay Hagen.
Okay, we're ready to do our interview with her.
Yep. All right, I'll pass the phone to her.
Okay.
And we have about 10 minutes, I understand, correct?
Okay, that's fine. We're on the air right now.
All right, great. All right, here we go.
Hey, Farron.
Hey, Ms. Hagen, how you doing today?
I'm doing just great. I hope you are. It's a great day outside.
We're doing good. I'd like to begin by just letting you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how your campaign's going.
Well, I'm Kay Hagen. I live in Greensboro, North Carolina. I've been in the state Senate for 10 years. The last 5 of those years, I've chaired our budget committee. And in North Carolina, we balance our budget. We have a AAA credit rating. We have an overfunded pension plan, and we have $800 million in our rainy day fund for the next hurricane. But I am running for the United States Senate because I think North Carolina needs a senator who lives here, works here, raised a family here, and is really ready and willing to go to work in Washington on behalf of people in North Carolina.
Okay, well, we had asked our listeners to submit some questions, and I wanted to do those first since our time was limited.
Okay.
And we had a question from Bill, and his question is, do you feel Barack Obama is qualified to be president?
He certainly does have my vote, and I certainly do think he's qualified. Yes, sir.
Okay, he went on to say that Mr. Obama had not ever run a state or a county or a city or served in the military, and I guess from his point of view, he didn't feel like he was qualified to take over the United States government. Would you have any comment for that?
You know, I think he has a vast wealth of experience. He knows people all over this country. He knows the issues that people are interested in. We need to have an energy policy in this country. We need to be able to keep our promises to our veterans. We need to turn this economy around. You look at what George Bush has done to this United States over the last 8 years, and I mean, George Bush has I think the first president ever to have an MBA, and you look at the financial crisis that we're in right now, you better believe Barack Obama is qualified to be president.
We've seen our national debt double under George Bush, something that I have a real problem with. We've got one other question from a listener, and it's from MS, and he asks, what taxes would you work to eliminate?
I would definitely work to eliminate the taxes that are going to the upper wealthy. I want to roll back the Bush tax cuts on people earning $400,000 and above, and we've got to be sure that we level the playing field and work for people who are working for a living in this country. I want to be sure we keep all the middle-class tax cuts and be sure we don't penalize people who are married, and that we offer child care opportunities from a tax incentive, and that we also have a college tax credit to help families send their kids to college.
Hello, Mrs. Hagen. This is Brian. Good morning to you.
Hey, Brian.
The question I have for you is actually a problem I have with President Bush. He swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States when he took his oath of office, yet we always hear him saying, my number one job is to provide the security for the people. What is your perspective on this?
Well, I think national security is the most important issue that we have in this, that we need to do in this country. And I think that's also one of the issues that I disagree with President Bush. He's had blinders on from the standpoint of the involvement in the Iraqi war. And at the same time, we've let al-Qaeda get stronger in Afghanistan. You look at the turmoil going on in North Korea now, and in Russia, and in Georgia. We need to have a strong military. And I want to do everything I can to be sure we have that. But I also think that the length of time that we've been staying in a war in Iraq, which is not making America safer, we need to draw down the troops in Iraq and redeploy them into Afghanistan. We need to use diplomacy again. We need to have benchmarks and accountability.
That was my next question. I was going to ask you your opinion of the Iraq War. Did you think it was a mistake, and were we misled into this war by the Bush administration?
Well, I think this has been a very much a mismanaged war. We went in without the proper troops, without the proper equipment. Even in the state Senate, we had to send extra armor and radios to our National Guardsmen overseas into Iraq. It's been a total mismanagement. But at the same time, we are there right now. I want to support our troops in every way. I will never use the funding question when it comes to our troops. I will support them all the time. However, we've got to draw down the troops in Iraq because the commanders in Afghanistan are saying they need 10 to 12,000 more men and women now. And until we draw them down in Iraq, we don't have them to send.
Do you support Dennis Kucinich's impeachment of the president?
I think we need to be moving forward. I think we need to be focusing on the issues that are important to the people here in our state and in our country, and those have to do with the economy. Those have to do with energy. Those have to do with the financial turmoil that we're in right now. We need to have a government that works for its people.
What is your opinion on these bailouts? It's been a very turbulent week economically. How do you think we should fix this problem? Is the federal government doing the right thing, bailing out all these banks and insurance agencies?
Well, first of all, I think what we're seeing right now is the results of the Republican economics, and that's handouts and handoffs. And instead of being sure that our economy was working for regular folks who work for a living, the Republicans and George Bush have really been pushing the philosophy that whatever the CEOs wanted was by definition good for America. And what really happened was that they gutted the oversight. They gutted the accountability. And for 8 years, they've done away with that. They ignored the housing bubble and all the risky lending, and now we are paying the price for Wall Street's gambles and the Republicans' willingness to encourage those gambles. As a principle, I oppose using taxpayer dollars to bail out people who made bad decisions. And I'm certainly a strong believer in free markets and capitalism, and I don't want the government playing such an active role in this. But we've also got to look at what's really happening. And, some of these institutions are so big and so interwoven in the financial sector that allowing it to fail would ultimately mean that working families and consumers would pay the price. So that is why I am supporting the steps that the Fed has taken.
North Carolina
we've got to move forward and address the structural flaws that cause this problem.
North Carolina has been particularly hard hit by the NAFTA agreement. We see empty textile factories everywhere. What is your opinion on NAFTA?
Well, let me mention one other thing. My opponent, Elizabeth Dole, has been on the banking committee for 6 years. She's remained quiet, making no statements, no questions at over 60 committee hearings, failing to ask a tough question or even to make a statement at the oversight hearings when the federal chairman, Ben Bernanke, was in attendance, and when our own commissioner of banks from North Carolina, Joseph Smith, was there. We need new leadership. And concerning NAFTA, before any trade deal comes forward or trade agreement comes forward for me to sign, I want to be sure that first and foremost, I want to look at what happens to North Carolina jobs. And we need to have trade agreements that have enforceable labor and environmental standpoints. If you go to my webpage at kayhagen.com, I have a plan on trade. I have one on energy, education, veterans, health care. And specifically from the standpoint of trade, we need to have somebody within the Department of Justice who actually has the enforcement mechanism to be sure that trade agreements are not only crafted, but they're actually enforced.
We have a lot of listeners that are concerned with illegal immigration. Our southern border still remains wide open. What's your opinion on this? What do we need to do to secure our border and stop this influx of so much illegal immigration?
Well, first of all, Elizabeth Dole has been in office for 6 years. And while she and George Bush have been there, we've got, 12 million illegal immigrants in our country right now? Well, 5 million have come in under their watch. We have got to secure our borders, first and foremost, whether that means new Border Patrol security agents, whether it means aerial drones, whether it means building a fence where a fence is necessary and useful. We've got to do that.